Okay, so as you can see on the screen here, exhibit number 2, we have the famous Ortega taco seasoning, right? A lot of people love to use this seasoning right here, man, especially the restaurants for their so-called Taco Tuesdays, right? Ortega taco seasoning. All right, so it seems good. A lot of people love it, right? But let's swing on back to these ingredients back here, right? And what do you see? Yellow corn flour, okay? GMO corn. Maltodextrin, GMO. All right. Modified cornstarch, GMO. All right. Silicon dioxide, right? Some chemical made up in a lab somewhere. And then, of course, right below it contains a bioengineered food ingredient. Okay, so this time right here it's singular. It don't have the S on the end like the other ones, right? But what is that? What is that mysterious bioengineered food ingredient, man? Right? Let alone the modified cornstarch. Okay, the yellow corn flour. All right. So this stuff right here is poison that we're eating, man, on a daily basis. Now, I can't say we as in me too, but the people within our nation of people who buy these things unknowingly, right? Knowing these things here and ignorantly, only because it tastes good. This is the reason why you buy it and use it on your food, right? But you're killing yourself slowly. As this right here, another famous seasoning, right? And they sell you with this right here, salt free, right? Salt free dash, right? Now, I did a video on that concerning salt. And it's actually not the salt that's bad for you. It's the sodium that's bad for you. It's the sodium that gives you high blood pressure, high cholesterol, hypertension, right? It's not the salt, especially the quality salt, without the iodine extracted from it. You got to get the salt, the iodine, right? That's what's good for your thyroid and your hormones, right? And then overall, your whole mood, right? But they sell you with this salt free. But salt is good for you. This is the reason why the Most High says we're the salt of the earth, man. This is the reason why Christ himself said we're the salt of the earth, right? Because salt is good for you. Why would he say you're something that's bad for you? He didn't say that we're the black pepper of the earth, all right? He didn't say that we're the dash seasoning of the earth, right? Which is the modium sodium glutamate, right? He said we're the salt of the earth, man, because there's a reason behind that. Salt is good for you, man. Salt kills viruses, okay? Salt kills bacteria, right? But unfortunately, for all of the people who went around and got that charagma, right? What did their doctor tell them? Oh, stay away from the salt. Don't have salt. Why? Why can't we have salt? Maybe because it can kill that so-called charagma, right? So think about it, man. So they sell you on this salt-free, okay? But let's mosey on around to the back here. And look what it says right here. Right? Black pepper. Okay, black pepper is bad for you, man. Right? I haven't eaten the black pepper in years, man. Right? That stuff is bad for you. Raise your blood pressure. Okay? So all of this stuff right here, they have a lot of good ingredients in it also, right? I don't see anything that's too bad unless for things that people are allergic to, like celery, all right? You're going to have some people that may be allergic to oregano, all right? But everything else seems pretty good. But that black pepper, man, that stuff is very bad for you, right? Then, of course, they also, once again, sell you on salt-free. But salt is good for you, man, especially when it's eaten in moderation. And then, of course, you got a lot of people that love to use this right here, that accent, right, the MSG. A lot of your so-called Chinese restaurants, or which I call Japanese or Cambodian restaurants, right? This is what they like to feed you, right? The MSG, the accent, okay? Then they also sell you on this right here, 60% less sodium than salt, right? But the ingredient itself is bad. Monosodium glutamate is cancerous, okay? That's what it is. That's what accent is, man. Okay, and I've done a video on that about maybe even 2 years ago, I've been talking about this right here, but I've always known about monosodium glutamate. But this is what they put in your foods in the so-called Chinese restaurants, man, to keep you coming back, right? So there's an agenda behind all of this here, man. This is the reason why you're being fed all of this stuff here. Okay, all of this stuff that you see here, all of the price gouging, okay, to keep you in biblical sin by breaking the Most High's dietary law. All of these hitting byproducts and all of this food, man. Right? There's a purpose for this. Okay. Definitely a purpose to this right here, man. Right? So in continuation, we're going to go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 42. Okay, so here we go. We're in the book of Ezekiel. And I'm going to start at verse 2. Now, this right here is referring to the Feast of Dedication, as I was saying earlier in the video, right? And in what season it's supposed to be kept. And also let you know how Christ himself was keeping the ordinance of the Feast of Dedication, right? So as it says here, and the prince shall enter by the way of the porch, which the porch, Solomon's porch, right? Of that gate without, and shall stand by the post of the gate, and the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offering, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate, and he shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening. Okay, and that's also letting you know that when the sun set, when the evening come, or the evening tide, that's letting you know that it's an ending of a day and the start of a brand new day, right? Verse 3. Likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the door of this gate before the Most High Power in the Sabbaths and the new moon, okay, which is the Rosh Kadash. All right. So this is how we supposed to be keeping the laws and the ordinance to the Most High, right? We supposed to be keeping the Sabbaths, which is the 7th day Sabbath, all right? And then the new moons, okay, which is basically this Friday and this Saturday, the 6th and 7th day, right? Verse 4. And the burnt offerings that the prince shall offer unto the Most High Power in the Sabbath day shall be 6 lambs without blemish and a ram without blemish. Okay, so that's your lamb. All right. Verse 5. And the meat offering shall be an ephah for a ram, okay, which is the bread, right? That's your meat. And the meat offering for the lambs as he shall be able to give, and an hin of oil to an ephah, okay, or ephah, right? Either way you want to pronounce it, like potato, tomato, right? Ephah, right? And that's like a small dish of olive oil, okay, that you got to add to the meat offering, which is the bread, right, that you're going to have with your ram and your lamb. Verse 6. And in the day of the new moon, it shall be a young bullock without blemish, 6 lambs and a ram, they shall be without blemish. Okay, so that's letting you know here in verse 6 that every new moon you're supposed to be having a lamb or a steak, which is a bullock. Okay, so this is an ordinance that we're supposed to be keeping to the Most High, man. But what does the powers that shouldn't be do? Around these times of the year, for us, the biblical holidays, they price gouge the lamb, they price gouge the steak, right? But they lower the prices on what? The ham, the pork, and all of the other abominable things they eat according to the Most High, right? So this is what we have to pay attention to, man. There's a deeper agenda behind this here, man, right? Let's go to the book of Nehemiah, chapter 12. Okay, so here we go in the book of Nehemiah, chapter 12, and we're going to jump down to verse 27. And it reads, and at the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem, which is Jerusalem, okay, what dedication? The feast of dedication, right? They sought the Levites out of all their places to bring them to Jerusalem to keep the dedication with gladness, both with thanksgivings, okay, which is the true thanksgivings, all right, and with singing and cymbals and psalteries and with harps. Let's jump down to verse 43. And then between us letting you know of all of the things that they've done, all of the people that was there celebrating along with the priests, right, in Jerusalem. And then for 43, it reads, also that day they offered great sacrifices and rejoiced, for the Most High Power had made them rejoice with great joy. The wives also and the children rejoiced, so that the joy of Jerusalem was heard even afar off, right? So these are the days that we're supposed to be celebrating to the Most High, man. The Feast of Dedication, right? And then you can have a good time, right? You can dance, you know, have a few music playing. You can have your wine there, your red wine. You can have your strong drink, right? As long as you don't get too drunk, right? And then the next thing you know, you're just creating a bunch of lasciviousness, right? But right here, you know, you can have your good times here in the Most High, man, doing it the right way, the biblical way, right? Instead of following the vain customs of this society, man, right? Let's go to the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 2. Okay, so here we go in the book of Chronicles. And I'm going to jump down to verse 6, and it reads, and the priests waited on their offices, the Levites, also with instruments of music for the Most High, which David the king had made to praise the Most High, because his mercy endureth forever. When David praised by their ministry, and the priests, which is the high priest, the Levites, right, sounded the trumpet before him, and all Israel stood. Verse 7. Moreover, Solomon hallowed, right, meaning that he sanctioned off, he made holy, right, the middle of the court that was before the house of the Most High Power, which is, you know, the porch, right? Because, of course, this is when Solomon was alive, all right? But after Solomon's passing, then that's when it became known as Solomon's porch, right? For there he offered the burnt offerings and the fat of the peace offerings, because the brazen altar which Solomon had made was not able to receive the burnt offerings and the meat offerings and the fat. Verse 8. Also, at the same time, Solomon kept the feast 7 days. Okay, so that's how long you're supposed to be keeping the feast of dedication. And all Israel with him, a great congregation, from the entering end of Hamath onto the river of Egypt, which is Mizraim, really, right? Verse 9. And in the 8th day, which is the closing of the feast of dedication, right, made they a solemn assembly, for they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days and the feast 7 days. All right. So that's right there letting you know that you're supposed to be keeping the feast of dedication 7 days. And then on your 8th day, you have a solemn assembly, right? Let's go to the book of 2nd Maccabees, chapter 1. And we're going to start at verse 1. And it read, the brethren, the Jews that be at Jerusalem and in the land of Judea, wish unto the brethren, the Jews that are throughout Egypt, health and peace. Okay, so right there, that's referring to ancient Egypt, but also Egypt is synonymous with bondage or captivity. So that's also referring to today. We're in spiritual Egypt today, right? So this is for all of the brethren and sister that's throughout the earth in bondage, all right, in all of these other countries or mountains, as the Bible describes it as, right? So this is what this is, right? And then you say peace, it actually means shalom. You know, that's what shalom is, peace. Okay, so this is what this is referred to, man, right? Our people, which is the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians of Negroid descent, right? The Jews is just short for Judah, all right? The son of Jacob, which is Jacob, which is the son of Isaac, which is the son of Abraham, all right? The chosen lineage. Okay, so this is who these ordinances are for, man, right? Verse 2. The Most High Power be gracious unto you, and remember his covenant that he made with what? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, his faithful servants. Okay, verse 3. And give you all in heart, okay, which is your mind, right? According to the etymology and the definition of the word, right? To serve him and to do his will, okay, which is keeping his high holy days, right? Not so-called Xmas or New Year's or Valentine's Day, right? With a good courage and what? A willing mind, okay? So you have to serve the Most High with a willing mind, okay? Just like I'm doing right here with this video epistle. I'm making this with a willing mind, not because I want to be famous or be known or for someone to take notice or to get paid for it, right? I'm doing this with a willing mind. Why? Because this is what the Most High assigned me to do. This is the knowledge that he bestowed upon me to do, man, right? Everybody else have their own assignments, right? Every other camp have their own assignments. Every other brother and sister, they got their own job that the Most High through the Holy Spirit gives them to do. But this is what the Most High bestowed upon me to do, right? So this is why I'm doing this with a willing mind to inform our people. We have to do our due diligence when it comes to eating this food, man, the dietary law, and how important it is towards our salvation for the coming kingdom, man, right? Verse 4, and open your minds and his what? His law and commandments and send you peace. Okay, so that's the only way that the Most High is going to give you peace, man. All right, if you're keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments, man, right? Verse 5, and what? And hear your prayers, okay? So that's the only way that the Most High is going to hear your prayers, also in reference to the book of St. John and the Gospels, right? The Most High does not hear sinners, okay? What it says right here, this is another reiteration of it, right? Verse 5, and hear your prayers and be at one with you. Okay, meaning he's going to be with you. He's going to walk with you, protect you, cover you, and never forsake you in what? In time of trouble, as we're in today, right? A lot of people being forced to take that charagma, right? You can't work. Okay, if you can't work, you can't buy. All right. If you have your business, you can't sell because you don't have the charagma or the mark, right? Which is the doctrine. Okay. The joining of the secret societies, worshiping the image of the beast, which is in religious churchianity, Roman Catholicism. Okay. Join their ancient Greco fraternities and sororities, worshiping all of their false gods, man, becoming a polytheist. All right. So this is what this is. This is all a part of the mark, man. Right. But what the Most High says here in verse 5, and hear your prayers and be at one with you and never forsake you in time of trouble, man. Right? Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 4. And this basically explains the reason why the Feast of Dedication is kept, right? Okay, and we're going to jump all the way down to verse 52. And it read, now on the 5th and 20th day of the 9th month, which is also called the month of Keslu, in the 140th and 8th year, they rose up betimes in the morning, meaning that betimes is early, right? Early in the morning. Okay, so this is on the 5th and 20th day of the 9th month, not the 10th month. We're in the 10th month right now, which is, Diez, 10. Okay, Nov, November, Nueve, 9. October, 8. Octopus. Octopus has what? 8 legs. Okay. September, Septembre, 7. Okay. Siete. Okay, so now December is the 10th month. Okay, but technically it would be in the 10th month when the new moon, because mind you, the new month starts every new moon, every dark moon. Okay, so that's going to be the official start of the 10th month. All right. So this is when we're supposed to be keeping the Feast of Dedication in the winter. Winter starts on the 22nd. Okay. Which is, I believe, tomorrow. All right. So this is when this is kept. But right here, this is speaking about keeping it in the 9th month. All right. So this is sort of like a different dedication, you can say here, right? Verse 53. And offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made. Verse 54. Look, at what time and what day the heathen have profaned it, even in that was it dedicated with songs and citharns and harps and cymbals. Verse 55. Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the Most High Power of heaven, which is Shamayim, who had given them good success. Verse 56. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered burnt offerings with gladness and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise. Okay, so that's speaking about the Feast of Dedication. Okay. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields, and the gate and the chambers they renewed and hanged doors upon them. Verse 58. Thus was there great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Okay, so that's when they was warring against the so-called ancient Greco-Roman Romans, right? As it says here in continuation. Moreover, Judas and his brethren with the whole congregation of Israel ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year, meaning annually, by the space of 8 days, from the 5th and 20th day of the month Keslu, which is the 9th month, with myrrh and gladness. Now, mind you, according to the ancient Hebraic calendar, our month starts at the time of the new moon, which is the dark moon, but sometime that can fall within the next month. So our month could be between the months. Like, although you have November and December, but our 9th month, instead of it starting at the 1st of November, okay, it would be sort of slightly in the middle of November going into December, okay? But it's basically whatever when the new moon falls, okay? That's the beginning of the new month. That's what Kadash means. Kadash means new month, okay? So when the new moon comes, which is Friday, okay, that's when you're going to have your new moon, and that's when you're going to have your start of, the 10th month, all right? Verse 60. At that time also, they build up the Mount Zion, which is also known as Jerusalem, right? With high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and tread it down as they had done it before. Verse 61. And they set there a garrison to keep it, and forfeited Beth Surah to preserve it. Okay, the garrison is like the gates, the guard gates, the towers, right? And you have like the spiked wood that's placed in front of it, around it, to make the enemies hard to get over it, right? Because they're sharp, they're sharpened wood spikes, right? That the people might have a defense against who? Idumea, okay? Who is Idumea known as? That's the descendants of Esau, the Edomites, all right? Which is the so-called powers that shouldn't be, that's governing the whole entire earth today, or at least 80% of the world, right? So right here, as it says, the 9th month, on the 5th and 20th day, which is Keslu, right? But here in the Gregorian calendar, we're in the 10th month. Okay, so according to the new moon, this is when our brand new month begins, right? So the new moon isn't till the 23rd, okay, which is this Friday, the 6th day of the week, which is before the Sabbath. It's the preparation day. So that's the new moon. And then right after that, you're going to have the Sabbath. Okay, so that's when you're supposed to be celebrating the Feast of Dedication, during the 10th month, okay, which is winter, okay? The official day of winter is tomorrow. Actually, it's now. This is sunset, okay? So now it's officially winter, okay? But you already have some brothers and sisters, they're already keeping the Feast of Dedication, right? But you're supposed to be doing it in the season of winter, right? And it's even in the Gospels, okay, in which we're going to get into. And also, we're going to bring it out according to this calendar, which is the first day of winter. Now, some people may beg to differ and say, oh, well, when it's cold, it's winter, right? But that's not solely true, because it's also cold in the autumn, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that's the winter, okay? But according to the calendar, winter doesn't start until tomorrow or tonight, even, as I said, during the sundown. All right. Now, technically, according to today's time, their day doesn't start until 12 o'clock midnight. Okay. They don't keep the evening or the evening tide or the sunset. All right. So they're going to wait until 12 o'clock midnight. But according to the biblical times, the evening or the evening tide or sunset is the start of a new day and the ending of the old day, right? So as I'm going to type in here, right, what day does winter start, right? Okay, here we go. What day does winter start? It says right here, Wednesday in the Northern Hemisphere. Okay, so technically today. All right. Today is winter, December the 21st, right? And then it ends on March the 20th. That's when spring is going to come, right? And that's around the Passover and the unleavened bread. Okay. So during the new moon, which is the start of the new year, which is the month of Abib, which falls between March and April, that's when you're going to have your new year. Okay. And then after that, when we was led out of Mizraim, known as Egypt, aka the house of bondage, that's when the Passover is going to happen. Okay. But when the darkness fell over Egypt before we was led out of there, that was during the new moon, right? Which is the dark moon, okay, for 3 days. If you look up the duration of what a new moon is, it's going to tell you from 1.5 days to 3.5 days, okay? How long was the darkness over the land of Egypt or Mizraim? 3 days, okay? So that was during the new moon. And then a week after that, that's when we was led out into the wilderness by the Most High, the strong arm of the Most High, right? So right here is letting you know right here that winter starts today, technically. Okay. So now we're going to ask, what is the new moon date? New moon of December 2022. All right, let me see if I could just get it a little clearer here. All right, so here we go. So as you can see in the title, in the toolbar, the search bar that I typed in, new moon December 2022. As it says here, December 23rd, 2022. All right, which is the 6th day of the week, which is the preparation day. Okay, current time. All right, 3:48 in the morning. Moon phase, new moon, which is the dark moon. Okay, so even the powers that shouldn't be know the correct timing of the new moon. It's not the full moon, it's the fully submerged in darkness moon. All right, and that's going to be the start of the 10th month. All right, so there you go. There you have it. Now it says right here, what date is the full moon in December? And which already passed, which is December the 7th. So I think a lot of brothers and sisters, they may be following the full moon as the new moon, which is incorrect. Because all throughout the biblical scriptures, it proves that the new moon is the dark moon. So a lot of people are keeping the Feast of Dedication due to the full moon. Okay. And also they did that with the Feast of Tabernacles. They followed the full moon instead of the new moon. Okay. But the new moon isn't the full moon. It's the dark moon. All right. So it's letting you know here that the moon for Rosh Kadash is the 23rd, right? So let's get into the book of Ezekiel once again, chapter 46. All right, so here we go. And we're going to start at verse 1, and it read, Thus saith the Most High Power, the gate of the inner court that look toward the east shall be shut the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath it shall be opened. And in the day of the new moon, it shall be open. Okay, so that's also letting you know that, the new moon and the Sabbath is basically, it's working in conjunction with each other. Okay, it's right behind each other. It's consecutive. Okay, so as it says here, when I looked it up, the new moon, it's going to be on the 23rd. That's the 6th day of the week, which is Friday. And then what day comes after that? That's the Sabbath, right? Which is the 7th day of the week, which is also how it's going to fall this weekend. Okay, so as it says here, but on the Sabbath it shall be opened, and in that day of the new moon it shall be opened, right? Verse 2, and the prince shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate without, and shall stand by the post of the gate, and the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offering, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening. Once again, right? So that's letting you know that the evening also, once again, is the start of a new day. Now, we're going to go to John chapter 10 and let you know that's what Hamashiach did. Okay? When he was keeping the ordinance of the Feast of Dedication. You know, he went through the porch. Okay. So we're going to go down to verse 22. And it read, and it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication, and it was what? Winter. Okay, it was winter. All right. So technically winter begins now, this evening. All right. And then you're going to have your new moon, which is this Friday. And then you're going to have your Sabbath, which is the next day. All right. So now at the new moon, that's the start of the month of December, which is 10 Dies in Latin. That's when you keep the Feast of Dedication. Just like I was telling the brother, I said, you must be going off the full moon instead of the new moon, because for one, we're still in the 9th month, right? And 10, the new moon doesn't come until Friday. Okay, that's when the winter season starts, which is today. All right, we was having this conversation last week, and it was still technically autumn. All right, winter is tonight. The new moon is Friday. Sabbath is the next day. All right, and what it says right here in verse 22, and it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication, and it was what? Winter. It didn't say it was autumn. It was winter. Okay. Verse 23, and Hamashiach walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. Okay, so he was basically keeping the same customs as all of the other Jews, okay, of Judea and Judah. You know, he walked through the temple into Solomon's porch from the north end to the south end. All right. So Hamashiach was keeping the custom of the Feast of Dedication, man. Right. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel once again, chapter 46. So a lot of people like to say, especially these so-called Christians, you know, oh, Christ came with his own commandment. We're supposed to be following Christ's commandments. But all throughout the Gospels, Christ said he came in his Father's name to do his Father's will. Okay, what is his Father's will? The keeping of the laws, statutes, and commandments and ordinances, okay, that he gave to the children of Israel, which is the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians of Negroid descent, right? So Christ was keeping the Most High's commandments. And if we're to follow Christ, then ultimately we're following the Most High, man, right? Okay, so here we go. We're back in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 46. And we're going to go down to verse 8. And it read, and when the prince, okay, who's also known as the Prince of Peace, that's Hamashiach, right? And when the prince shall enter, he shall go in by the way of the porch, okay, which is Solomon's porch. of that gate he shall go forth by the way thereof. Verse 9. But when the people of the land shall come before the Most High Power in the solemn feast, okay, which is the feast of dedication, he that entereth in by the way of the north gate to worship shall go out by the way of the south gate, okay, which is Solomon's porch, right? And he that entereth by the way of the south gate shall go forth by the way of the north gate. And he shall not return by the way the gate wherein he came in. Okay, so when you go into the temple one way, you got to leave out another way. Okay, because you're going to have other people coming in behind you. Okay. But shall go forth over against it, meaning if you come in from the north, you got to leave out through the south. If you come in from the south, you got to leave out through the north, right? And then it leads you out to Solomon's porch, right? Verse 10. And the prince in the midst of them, when they go in, shall go in, and when they go forth, shall go forth. Verse 11. And in the feast and in the solemnities, the meat offering, which is the bread, shall be for an ephah or ephah to a bullock, and an ephah or ephah to a ram, and to the lambs as he is able to give, and an hin of oil to an ephah. Okay, so once again, it's letting you know that you're going to have your meat offering, which is the bread, and then you're going to have it with your olive oil. Okay. And then, of course, you got to have your lamb or your steak. All right. So this is what we're supposed to be having for the Feast of Dedication and also for the new moons. All right. If you're able to, because the Most High understand our condition. All of us aren't able to do that. Right. But as long as you eating something that's biblically clean, and then, of course, you got to have your meat offering, which is your bread. If you can't have the lamb or the steak, then you should at least try to have the bread, even if you're eating it with some turkey or some chicken or something like that. At least the Most High sees the effort, right? So this is how you're supposed to do it, man. So this is an example and proof that Hamashiach was keeping the Feast of Dedication, okay? Because during the Feast of Dedication, he walked in Solomon's porch, meaning after he came from the temple, he was on Solomon's porch. All right. So let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 18. And I'm going to start at verse 1. And it reads, And after these things I saw another angel, which is a messenger, come down from Shamayim, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. Verse 2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and it's become the habitation of what devils, meaning deceivers, liars, tricksters, false accusers, right? Slanderers, lovers of lies, right? And the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Okay, so we're basically in a cage, right? You can't come in, you can't leave out. That's basically what a cage means. That's the definition of it. If you trap something in a cage, they can't come in or leave, right? Just like America. If you don't have the so-called Karagama card, right? Proof of it, right? If you don't have any authorization to leave this place, you're not getting out of here, right? Try to drive past the border of Mexico or going to Canada, right? Especially if you're a truck driver, you got to have that so-called Karagama proof card to show that you've been marked, right, to even get in and out of the country, whether it's through Mexico or Canada, on the Buffalo, New York side or Detroit, Michigan side, right? Or if you're in places like Minnesota, North Dakota, Idaho, Washington State, what have you, right? You got to have that proof, man. So this has become a cage for the people, right? Verse 3. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Whose fornication? This society here, man. Spiritual Babylon, okay? Spiritual Jezebel, okay? Jezebel is an opposer of the Most High, okay? Who don't like to keep the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, who teaches against keeping them, who tricks you and deceive you into thinking that the laws are done away with. Okay, that's a Jezebel spirit. You don't have to be a woman to have a Jezebel spirit, man. You could be a man with a Jezebel spirit if you're rebellious, okay? That's what it is, man. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornications with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Okay, so all of the merchants of the earth, all of the places that do business with this place right here, not only this place, but the land of Israel now, in which the Gentiles are trampling down in, right? The European Union, the UAE, United Arab Emirates, okay, India, all right, Japan, all of the places where the powers that shouldn't be are governing, right? Verse 4. And I heard another voice from Shamayim saying, come out of her, my people. Who's my people? The so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians of Negroid descent, right? It doesn't mean literally leave, right? Or come out of her, but come out of her spiritually. Stop keeping the vain customs of this society because it goes against biblical scripture. If you claim yourself to be a believer of God and a believer of the Bible and a follower of his one and only true anointed son, Hamashiach, then you got to come out of her, man, spiritually. Okay, you still want to have to live amongst the people. You still want to have to deal with them on a daily basis, but you don't keep the same customs as they do, right? That ye be not partakers of her, what, her sins. Okay, so you're not supposed to be partaking in so-called Xmas. Okay, you're not supposed to be breaking the Sabbath this weekend. Okay, that ye be not partakers in her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Okay, so this is what we're supposed to be doing, man. If you want to be safe and protected by the Most High, you're supposed to come out of spiritual Babylon, spiritual Egypt, okay, spiritual Sodom and Gomorrah, all right? So you don't partake in none of her sins and her plagues that the Most High is going to deal this place, man, during his judgment, during the second coming of Hamashiach, man, right? Verse 4 again from the top. And I heard another voice from Shamayim saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. All right, verse 5. For her sins have reached unto Shamayim, and the Most High power hath remembered were her, what, her iniquities, which is also sin, which is also known as the transgression of the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, man. All right. So this is what this is, man. You got to boycott all of these so-called holidays of this society, man. You got to boycott so-called Christmas, which have nothing to do with Christ whatsoever. You got to boycott so-called New Year's, which is in the depth of winter, man. The real New Year's is in the month of Abib, man. Okay. You got to boycott so-called Valentine's Day. That's after that, which is a pagan love festival, man. A fornication festival. This is how you come out of her, man, right? So the Most High can receive you and give you his Holy Spirit. Okay, and then you won't be snared and trapped and deceived by the wiles and the devices of Hashatan, man, which is the devil. Okay, aka Lucifer, aka Satan, aka Esau, right? So I'm gonna end that there. Hopefully that this was edifying. Hopefully that this was gratifying. The Most High is willing. To the next time, shalom. And I got that video that I said I was going to show you guys, man. That's going to bring a little bit more enlightenment to the dietary law and how we can use the spirit of discernment, you know, and make better choices when we go to these local supermarkets, man, so we can live in good health and live biblically clean to the Most High, man, right? So he can receive us, okay? All right, so till the next time, shalom.
I have king crab legs, lobster tails, shrimp, 4 mega prawns. I have mussels, and I have my butter sauce. You know some hunger, right? Come up with me up.
This banana was not created by God, or really even nature. Bananas, at least the ones that you see at the store, were created by people. Don't get me wrong, there are wild banana plants, lots of them. They're native to South and Southeast Asia, and there are dozens of species and thousands of varieties. They're just not the ones we eat. Some of those species, as you might suspect, have seeds, because that's what fruits are. They're fleshy bodies containing seeds. So you might wonder, why have you never eaten a banana seed? Well, you have, kinda. In cultivated bananas, the seeds have pretty much stopped existing. If you look closely, you can see tiny black specks. Those are all that's left, and they're not fertile seeds. If you plant them, nothing grows. Today's bananas are sterile mutants. I'm not trying to be mean, that's just the truth. Unless you were alive in the 1960s, hats off to all those older SciShow viewers out there, every banana you have ever eaten was pretty much genetically identical. This is a Cavendish, the virtually seedless variety that we all eat today, but it wasn't always our banana of choice. Until the 1960s, everyone was eating the same banana. It was just a different banana, the Gros Michel, a bigger, sweeter fruit with thicker skin. You might notice that banana-flavored things don't really taste like bananas. Well, they do. They taste like the Gros Michel.
The government is considering whether to allow the sale of food from a genetically altered animal, the FDA taking it up today. A company has tinkered with the genetic material of salmon so the fish can grow faster and reach groceries sooner. Are eaters ready? Here's Lisa Stark.
It looks like any other salmon, but opponents call it frankenfish and hope to keep it off your dinner plate. Here's the difference. Both these fish are 18 months old, but the larger genetically engineered Aqua Advantage salmon grows twice as fast as the regular salmon.
This is the first genetically engineered animal that would be introduced to the food supply. So it's a big deal.
Atlantic salmon grows in fits and starts, but scientists found that adding genetic material from a Pacific salmon and an eel-like fish helps them grow round the clock.
This fish is indistinguishable from the traditional foods.
How can you say it's indistinguishable, though, when it clearly has a different genetic makeup than an Atlantic salmon?
But it tastes the same, it looks the same, and the biology is exactly the same.
FDA scientists today agreed.
Aqua Advantage salmon is Atlantic salmon, and food from Aqua Advantage salmon is as safe as food from other Atlantic salmon.
Still, critics claim more studies are needed on how the fish might affect humans and the environment. For instance, what happens if these altered fish somehow make it out into the wild? Would they breed with native salmon? Would they crowd out the wild fish? The company insists there are safeguards.
They're all sterile and they're raised in physically contained facilities.
But opponents say there's no guarantee all the and there's already one case study in how the best laid plans can go awry. Canola plants used to make canola oil were genetically engineered to be resistant to weed killer. The problem, their seeds have now migrated from the company farms, carried by the wind, and perhaps by trucks taking them to market. They're now growing on the roadsides of North Dakota. Scientists worry they may create a hard-to-kill superweed. As for the genetically altered salmon, one question still on the table: will folks eat it? And will they even know what they're eating? Because the FDA has to decide if the fish will even carry a special label. Lisa Stark, ABC News, Washington.